Hey YouTube, I'm back with another deck profile video. Today I'm going to be doing a deck profile on my Machinedramon deck or my black Digimon deck. So for those who are a fan of Dark Masters, my goal starting Digimon, or actually what actually pulled me into Digimon, was the fact that the Dark Masters were already in the game, like as of the first major booster set release. So I had to try the game out because of that. Also because a lot of people I know have been saying good things about it. And there are a lot of YouTubers out there that played Vanguard, and now they've kind of switched over to Digimon, at least partially, if not almost, where to the point where Digimon has become like the main TCG that they're currently covering. And then I even think that other people from other games like Yu-Gi-Oh have also picked it up and tried to look at it, because the game saying Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of like the same sort of deal with WoW in the MMO market for those who follow MMOs. So anyway, today we're going to focus on Machinedramon. So this is one of my favorite Dark Masters. It's hard for me to rank them in popularity. I'd say Piedmon is probably my favorite, then Machinedramon, and then probably Metal Seedramon, and then Pokemon's my least favorite. So Pokemon was the easiest deck to build because I didn't really, I literally just opened like 2 boxes and got everything that I needed for the deck, plus 1 starter deck. So that's why that was, put online relatively quick. But these other 3 have been a little bit harder to build. Well, this one is probably the second easiest one to build because thankfully nothing in here is really that pricey or hard to find, with the one exception being Millenniummon, which I did pull out of the box, or one of those boxes. So we're going to go ahead and cover this deck now. So to start off, actually, let's just do the Digitama. So it's 1 of the Star Deck Kapurimon and then 4 Booster Kapurimon. You could actually probably run like 2 of these, or maybe even 3 of these. It really just depends. I do play the Reboot Toy Agumon Inherited Skill, so I feel like this is more useful for most of the time. But if not, I mean, the blocker, this thing does make the blockers stronger. But if they have Reboot as well, they're really strong too. So it's kind of a preference thing. It's kind of weird. I've been playtesting the deck, and so far with this lineup, I haven't really been having much of a problem. Alright, so moving on to the Megas. Some people do the deck starting with the low cost up. I just go ahead and start from the top, work my way down. So for Machinedramon, because it's centered around Machinedramon, like that's the theme of the deck, I've played 4 of him. If it was focused on something else, like for example, Wargreymon Black, then I'd probably run like 4 of this and then 2 of that, or 4 of this and 3 of that, or 3 of this and 2 of this, or some combination. But I only have 2 of these because I only pulled 2 of these, and this card is, I don't think this card is too overpriced right now compared to some other cards that I've seen. But Wargreymon for Black is pretty good. It's not like super budget, but it's not like super expensive either. So if you wanted to get a playset of these, it wouldn't be too much or too hard to do that. But I didn't have to, thankfully I didn't have to like try to find any of these outside of pulling these 2 straight from the box. So kind of lucky there, and I did pull the Machinedramon. But Machinedramon is not really that pricey at all, so it's relatively easy to get for super rare. So 4 Machinedramon and 2 Wargreymon, those are the Mega level 6 Digimon, and then I am playing the 1 Millenniummon. And surprisingly, compared to my purple deck, my black deck it's easier for this deck to go into Millenniummon compared to the other one for some weird reason. Usually what you do is, if they have a problem card and you need to get rid of it, you can Digivolve Millenniummon on top of Machinedramon. Now you'll lose the blocker, but you'll gain a 13k, and you'll get rid of like any problem card because it bounces one of the opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the deck and it trashes all the cards. So like a fully Digivolved like Shine Greymon or something, it's just gone. Like anything, Lilithmon, all these annoying things, just get out of here. Like that's Millenniummon's ability. And then if they delete him, because typically you'll Digivolve him on top of Machinedramon, that's like the most common scenario that I've had to do. If he gets deleted, then he comes back. Like, because if he had a Digivolution card under him, he comes back. So, really annoying card to get rid of. He's 13k power, so he's very strong. He hits over like pretty much everything in the security stack. Unless you're up against yellow and for whatever reason they're able to like power up their security stack or something. But yeah, so the 1 Millenniummon, you don't really need to run more than 1. I would say at most 2, but then it could get cloggy. So I feel like 1 is really enough. And most of the time you'll go through most games with just either one of these two, and you'll just either win or lose depending on like how the match plays out. So you don't really need Millenniumon. It's kind of optional. I'm just running it because I did pull it. So it is the 1 grade 7, and then I'm running like 6 megas or 6 level 6. So that's pretty balanced, I would say, in terms of the lineup. It's not too top heavy. Because I feel like 6 is the right number. 6, 7 is the right number for like level 6 Digimon. You don't really want to go beyond that amount, because then you're going to run into consistency issues. So for the ultimates, aka level 5s, I'm running 4 of the Metal Greymon from the booster pack. He has Reboot, and then he has an inherited skill where if the Digimon has Reboot, it gains security +1. So obviously, it's meant to go with War Greymon. You Digivolve War Greymon on this, and then now he has Blocker and Reboot and +1 security. So that's basically the War Greymon variant of the deck. So it is nice to have that as a backup path to victory. Next, I'm running 3 Andromon. I wish I had a 4th one, but I only pulled 3. It's an uncommon. So 3 Andromon. He's your ultimate blocker that can attack. He doesn't have any negatives when he attacks. 7k power, so relatively strong at defending you, and then using him offensively as well. If he has Reboot from the Toy Agumon, then he's really good because you can use him offensively. And assuming he survives the security attack or whatever, he stands up on suspend phase. So because of the Reboot inherit skill, so really nice. I like him at 3. I wish I had a 4th one. And then the last 2 ultimates are just 2 Machinedramon. This is the non-Star Deck one, just because it's a 9k beat stick. Relatively good stats. It's a vanilla though, so we don't run too many of it. But you need some kind of offensive power, because sometimes these 7k ultimates can't power over certain things, and you need like that extra power. This deck doesn't have a lot of ways to consistently gain increases to their DP points, so that's why we run 2 of those 9Ks. And remember, this deck is basically built off of set 1 only, so there's none of the newer cards in here. So that's basically my ultimate lineup. For the champions, I'm running 4 of the BT1 Greymon, just like the Metal Greymon. If you go all the way up the stack, if you go into Greymon, then Metal Greymon, then War Greymon, you have a very, very strong difficult to deal with Digimon that can block and reboot. It's super good. It gets around a lot of stuff from green because of that reboot skill. So really, really nice. It works real well with a Tamer card that we'll show later. So moving on, we've got 4 Gardromon. Gardromon cannot attack. So the biggest downside of him is sometimes you need to push for game. Like if you have, like let's say you've got like 2 rookies out, this guy, and like a Machinedramon or something. Like sometimes the bad thing about Gardromon is there's a pros and cons to him. The pros of him is he's a champion with 7k power, and he's a blocker. So he's very, very defensive. He's like basically Giant Soldier of Stone from Yu-Gi-Oh! Like up to the max. He's super good. 5 to play, standard blocker. 2 to Digivolve into, so he's got those standard stats, but he's that 7k power, which is stronger than your typical 6k blocker that you find in the other colors. But Gardromon is just super good at defending. The only problem is he cannot attack at all, so that's how they balance him out. Otherwise, he'd just be really, really good. Being a blocker with 7k, that's super good if he could attack. But hey, Andromon is 7k also, but he is an ultimate, but he, you can use him offensively. So he's just kind of here to block, because that's what this deck mainly does. It blocks, it tanks the opponent, and then it just like counter hits them for game, typically. Next, I'm running 4 Numeromon. Numeromon is amazing. Everybody thinks this thing is like, it's so weak looking. It always was so weak in the show, in the Machinedramon arc. But it fits perfectly with Machinedramon. Like this whole deck is supposed to be devoted to like the Dark Masters era of Digimon from the anime. Because I remember as a kid watching that, and I love the Dark Masters. They're so awesome. So Numeromon, you got to run him at 4. He's your 1 to Digivolve champion. Very, very weak, no effect, but he's your cheap. You basically go into him to immediately go into ultimate on top of him, assuming you have that memory. So really, really nice. So 12 champions, 4 of them are blockers. So a little bit higher on the champion. I like to run 11 champions, but if you run 12, it makes your deck more consistent in terms of digivolving, but at the point where you lose options, basically. Next, I'm running for the rookies. Let's just move these up a bit. For rookies, we're running 4 of the booster set Toy Agumon. Toy Agumon is probably the best rookie in here because it gives you the inherited reboot effect. That works so well with the Kapurimon because, you know, if the Digimon has reboot, then it's 1000k DP more. So this on an Andromon is very good because Andromon is a blocker. Then he becomes 8k on your turn, and he has reboot, so he can stand up after you attack their security stack. So very, very nice Toy Agumon. You gotta run 4 of them if you're trying to build a deck to be based on blockers. Next, I'm running 4 Gotsumon. Gotsumon is like sometimes this card is so MVP, it's ridiculous. This card, if you need to drop, like if you need to counter Rookie Rush in late game, if your opponent drew into a lot of 3s and they're not getting their ultimates, they're not getting their megas, they might have 1 or 2 options, but they're basically stuck with mostly rookies and like 1 or 2 champions. You drop this, and then they're like kind of stuck. If both of you are at like 3 security, because this is a pretty typical scenario that I've been in most games with this deck. I drop Gotsumon in late game when I have like 4 memory after they either Terraforce me or something, and then they can't win the following turn because I'll be able to block over their like 1k, 2k, like Impmon or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff. So Gotsumon is so good. Oh my gosh, this card's good. This card has almost always been like the attack for game, lose 2 memory card, but it's really good. It's a rookie blocker with 3k power, 3 to play, 0 Digivolve. You gotta run 4 of it. It's so good. Next, another card that you kind of want to run 3 or 4 copies of is Hagurumon. So Hagurumon, remember this guy from the show? He was Machinedramon's little sidekick in the, I guess, the base or the command center, wherever they were. But this guy's your 2 to play with 3k power and 0 Digivolve. Pretty standard vanilla used to just Digivolve up or just drop him on the board for a rookie rush in late game or even early game, depending on how it plays out. And then last but not least, I'm running 2 Chumon. This is good in the matchups against stuff like blue, where their hammer sparks can't go off and end the battle phase on your turn while you're attacking the stack. Just kind of good to just drop this in the blue matchup, but also against others like red or the off chance where someone's running like something like purple, like Venom Iotismon or something that can gain memory. You know, that kind of those rogue decks that do stuff like that. So Chumon at 2, he's just kind of good at like limiting memory gain via like Digimon or options. And that's basically it. That's the rookies. So 14 rookies, which I consider the standard number. I like to build my decks for those who are new to the game and are trying to wonder like what's a good ratio in terms of Digimon levels. So I would recommend 14 level 3s, 11 or 12, maybe 10, but typically 11 or 12 of the level 4s, and then 9 or maybe 10, but 9 typically for me, ultimates or level 5, and then I would run like 6 level 6, sometimes 7, but most of the time I think 6 megas or level 6s are good enough. And if you need to put another level 6 or level 7, like Millenniumon, he's level 7, then you run that, and I kind of contribute that, or I kind of count that as my like mega lineup. So here's like, I would count this as a 7. Technically it's 6 and like 1 7, but it's because they're so high. Like this is the highest level basically. That's kind of how I build it. And then for the options, I'm running 2 Infinity Cannon. This is just gets rid of like the fully digivolved annoying things like the fully digivolved War Greymons and that kind of stuff with a super high security plus. You just bye-bye, get that thing away from here, and then, you know, trash it or digivolve all that stuff, and then send them back to rookie. This can turn like a fully digivolved Omnimon or even a Millenniumon or something back into a rookie. It's super good. De-Digivolve 4. So it's kind of like Machinedramon's skill, but it's de-digivolving 4 instead of digivolving 2. Although he's really nice because he digivolves 2 on 2 different Digimon. So really, really good. That's what this deck kind of does. It's all about like if it does anything for removal, it's mostly de-digivolving off of Machinedramon or Infinity Cannon. The other way I remove problem cards from the board is Dark Side Attack. 2 Dark Side Attack. I don't run 4 of this, although I was considering bumping this up to 3. mainly because it doesn't get rid of the strongest things. This thing gets rid of, it deletes, it's for 5 costs, you delete a play cost of 7 or less. So that typically hits most ultimates and lower. So level 5s and lower usually get hit. Occasionally you'll come across something like this, which is an ultimate, but its play cost is 8, so this wouldn't be affected, so you can't use it on it. But typically, like most annoying cards that are usually like cost 7 to play, like those Zudomons, or this thing, or in a mirror match, or those Cherrymons in green, or some kind of like really 8 cost thing, then you can't really get rid of those. So that's why we don't run too many of these, but it is a good removal option for cheap. It can turn the tide of battle sometimes when you try to like slow them down, get rid of those annoying pesky ultimates or whatever. Alright, and then for the Tamers, I'm running, so that's really all the options, only just 4 options. So for the Tamers, I'm running 2 ties, so the one that manipulates your memory to 3, so you can't get memory star from your opponent, and then it also gives all your black Digimon plus 1000 on the opponent's turn, so that turns this into a 12k blocker. Same deal with Wargreymon, and all the blockers plus 1000 is really, really nice. And then I am running 2 of the Star Deck tie, because for now at least, I have been able to capitalize on this with either Machinedramon or Wargreymon, because it's really nice if you're up against someone who's trying to rookie rush you, and you, for some reason, didn't open up with a lot of 3s, so you had to drop him early, bounce or de-digivolve some of their stuff, but then they have a bunch of rookies, so you can use tie to essentially, like, you know, stem the tide of battle there where they can't just, like, overwhelm you, because you can block, suspend, restand, block again, so really, really nice at helping defend. And the playstyle of the deck is basically block as much as you can, and then just kind of counterattack because you have reboot typically on most of your Digivolve things. So yeah, that's basically the deck. If I was gonna change something, I might drop one of these ties for another option, but I'm not sure what option to play, whether it be a third Dark Side, a third Infinity, or some other option that I haven't really thought of. But that's basically going to be my black deck, or my Machinedramon theme deck. I like it a lot. It's one of my favorite decks right now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, what you would change, what you recommend for tweaking it, what cards I should be on the lookout that are from the newer sets that I don't have. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.